Hello, welcome back. Today I'm starting with illustration number 21. In the last two videos, I have covered 1 to 20 questions and few concepts. If you haven't watch that videos because it's going on in series. Otherwise, you won't understand what is going on in this video. So it's better to watch that before watching this video. And I'll provide the link in the description if you are not able to find the videos. So before going into illustration, it's better to recall the things which we did in the past session. So I'll like to do some revision. What we did was we studied about free cash flow to firm, free cash flow to equity. Free cash flow to firm means the cash flow which is freely available for the investors. And there are three types of investors in a firm. Like we are having debenture holders, we are having the preference shareholders, equity shareholders. So this cash flow is available for them, all the three. And this free cash flow to equity is available for only equity shareholders people. So how we did was, what was the formula? We calculated profit after tax, or it is also known as net income. Later we added interest 1 minus tax. Okay, then we would add non cash charges like depreciation, as this is only for, or this is only consists free cash flow, so we'll avoid the non cash flow charges. So for that we have to add back. Later we will subtract capital expenditure, any fixed asset expenditure, and any changes in working capital would be also subtracted. Both this will subtract and this both will add. So we will get free cash flow to firm. And here in free cash flow to equity, what we did was, this is profit after tax, or net income is also known as profit after tax. We are not going to add back interest 1 minus tax because we have paid interest amount. So now we only require for equity shareholders, so we are not going to add back, because this amount, after doing all these adjustments, this amount is for three people. So we are required to bring the interest also in this free cash flow to firm. But here we will not add back, or will not do any adjustment related to interest. Okay, rest all other adjustments are going to remain same. Non-cash charges and capital expenditure would be deducted, and changes in working capital would be also same. So this is the main difference. Now free cash flow to firm is given, then we can find free cash flow to equity by doing some adjustments. So what are the adjustment, if you would ask? We'll take free cash flow to firm, to reach to equity. We will, what we can do, we can reduce interest 1 minus tax and add net borrowing. Doing this, we will get free cash flow to equity. This is the simpler way for this solution. If this is given, then we can find this, or vice versa. Doing opposite adjustments, we can get free cash flow to firm. Okay. Now, later we studied about value of firm. Value of firm. We know Gordon's growth model, which means price of share is equal to dividend d1 upon ke minus g. This is the formula given by Gordon. So in the same way, what we are going to do is, in place of d1, we are going to take free cash flow to firm at the year 1, and we are going to divide with weighted average cost of capital minus growth rate. As this is for the firm, we'll take weighted average cost of capital. This formula is being used when, this formula is used when even cash flows are there. Even cash flows with growth rate. Okay, now the value of firm, if there is no growth rate given the question, so it would be like free cash flow to firm divided by WACC. If there is no growth rate, it's simple. Now in place of value of firm, if you are required to find value of equity, it's going to be similar. Free cash flow to equity at the year end 1 divided by, in place of weighted average cost of capital, here it would be cost of equity minus g. And this is for same even cash flows with growth rate. Now if there is no growth rate given in the question, then what we take, free cash flow to equity divided by KE without growth rate. So this was the general formulas which we used in the past questions, and here there are many other adjustments too, but I'm taking the common adjustments which are used in the most of all the questions. Now what else we studied? Now we studied about like we had a time scale. I think you remember all those things: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and say infinity period of time. And if the cash flows are uneven, cash flows are uneven means, if suppose the cash flow here is at the year 1 is 2.5, 3 lakhs, 3.5, 4 lakhs, 6 lakhs, and so on. Okay, so if we are required to find for uneven cash flows, what we would do, as we are having all year cash flows, we are not able to solve this with this method. We can do one thing, that is we can bring all this cash flows to the present value. And the present value, how we are required, how we have to find, we know we could take like cash flow at the year 1 divided by 1 plus r to the power t. This is the formula. If it's, I'll show one example, like 2.5, and the rate is, suppose here in this question the rate is 10%, that would be 1 plus 10% to the power 1 in case of uneven cash flows. Now for the next year it would be 3, cash flow is a 3, 1 plus 10% to the power 2. As the year goes on, 1, 2, 3, it would be the power exponent would change. So this is how we'll bring every cash flows to the present value, but doing this is very cumbersome. So one other formula is there for doing this, but this formula we are required to do for uneven cash flows, while in case of even cash flows, and if we are required to find for a certain period, that is high growth period and terminal value, we are having the other formulas. So let me take other example, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So if this period is high growth period, and from here starts the terminal value. Terminal value is a stable growth period with the till the infinity period of time. Okay, so this high growth period, if the cash flows are even, say 4 lakh, and the growth rate is 4%, so and rate of cost of equity is, suppose, or cost of capital is 10%, and here the growth is 2% growth rate, and r is 15%. So how to find high growth period for even cash flows? If the cash flows are uneven, we do not have any option. We have to bring every cash flow to the present value. While there are even cash flows, and if there are 2 period or 3 period, like high growth period, stable growth period, so we can have some easy way, like we are having one formula for this high growth period. So for that, what we do, value is equal to free cash flow to the firm at the one level. Okay, then what we do, 1 minus 1 plus g, 1 plus r to the power t, r minus g. So this is the formula for high growth period. Okay, and for terminal value, we all know what we do. The terminal value formula is we will take free cash flow to the firm the year 1 and r minus g. Later we will bring that to the present value. This was all we did in the last 2 sessions. So hope you are understanding. This was just a revision to recall the things which we did. Now illustration number 21, the free cash flow is given 35 percentage for the 5 years, and the growth is, then after that the growth is given as 35 percentage for the 5 years. After that the growth is going to reduce and it's going to be normal at 5 percentage. Okay, so current year cash flow is 4 lakhs. Cost of capital, high growth period cost of capital is 18%. Later it's going to be 12% from the 5th year. Find the value of S Limited. So if we'll draw the time scale, zero year, 1 2 3 4 5 6, infinity period of time, up to this much is a high growth period, and they are saying that at present it is 4 lakhs the cash flow. Okay, and the growth rate is 35 percentage. After 5 years, this is terminal value, growth rate is 5 percentage. Here rate of return is 18 percentage. Here cost of capital is 12 percentage. So there are two periods, there is high growth period and terminal value calculation. So here the cash flows are even, only growth is going to happen. So what we can do is, we are having one formula which we revised. We can use that formula for the value of high growth period. Okay, so it's going to be free cash flow to the firm at the year 1 minus 1 plus G 1 plus R to the power T R minus G. So we have to find for this period 4 lakh, 1 plus G is 35 percentage, 35 percentage. So calculation would give 4 into 1.35, it's going to be 5.4. 5.4, 1 minus 1 plus G is 1.35, 1 plus R is 1.18 to the power 5 years are there for high growth period. R is 18 percentage minus 35 percentage. So let's calculate. 1.35 we have to multiply with 5 times, that is 2 3 4 5, it's 4.4840. 1.18 also 5 times, 1.18, 2 3 4 5, 2.28775 minus 1, 5.4, 0.18 minus 3.5 is going to give us 0.17. So calculating 4.4840 divided by 2.28775 is 1.96, minus 1 is 0.96, multiplied by 5.4, 5.18 divided by 0.17, the answer is 30.49, but the approx is going to be 30.5 lakhs. Okay, so this is the high growth period calculation. Now terminal value calculation. Terminal value calculation would be like, let's write the formula. Free cash flow to the firm at the year 1, R minus G multiplied by 1 plus R raised to the power T. So this is to be the year 1. So we are required to find for this 6th year. For finding this, we can first reach to here 1 plus 35 percentage raised to the power 5. This is going to be the giving the free cash flow for the 5th year. Then multiplying this answer with 1 plus G is 5 percentage. 5 percentage will get for the 6th year. So this calculation is going to help. So 1.35 5 times 2 3 4 5 is 4.4840 multiplying with 4, 17.93, multiplying with 1.05 is 18.83. So we are going correct. We'll take 18.83 in the calculation. The rate of return is 12%, minus growth rate is 5%. We'll discount with the previous year cost of capital, that is 18%, is going to be 5 years. So let's calculate 18.83 here, 7% multiplied by 1.18 to the power 5 times 2345 is 2.28775. Now calculation, it would be 18.83 divided by 0.07 divided by 2.28775 is going to be 117.58. So both growth value we got, this is for terminal value, for high growth it's 30.5. Adding this both, we are going to get the value of 148.08. This is going to be the value of firm. Okay, now illustration number 22, what it says: a task has been assigned to a research analyst in a mutual fund to find the price what the fund should be subscribed, as the company is going for an IPO issue. So at what price should the person subscribe? This is to be found. Other details have been given, revenue and all. The growth has been provided. Later this period is provided, so we have to require to find the future cash flows for this period, okay, for the firm. And later what we would do, we are having the equity value, debt value, and 2.219 is the total assets. So reducing equity, will get the debt value, risk free rate, risk premium, beta. If this has been provided in the question, so immediately we have to find cost of equity through CAPM model. So they have found the cost of equity 15.53. After that 8% debt is there, and we have to find the value of the firm. So it is sure that we have to find weighted average cost of capital. So weighted average cost of capital is found like this is equity 11.32. How it came through 219.98 minus 208.66. So we'll get this value. This is the weights, and we'll multiply 8%, 1 minus tax rate. So weighted average cost of capital is 15%. This is going to be this cash flows are going to be discounted through weighted average cost of capital, as this is the firm. Okay, now let's move into the calculation. We are having 5 years, but I'll show for 2 years, 14 and 15 years. We are having revenue. They are saying revenue is going to grow by 55%. So in 2013 the revenue is 248.79 plus 55% is going to happen, that is 385.63. Now they are saying 50% of this growth rate, if of this revenue, so 50% we are going to add, so we'll get 578.44. This way you have to solve for all the 5 years. Now operating expense would be subtracted, so they are saying 87%, so 385.63, 87% of sales is 335.50. Same way 578.44 multiplied by 87% is going to be 503.25. okay, so this way if we'll calculate, we'll get EBITDA. We have to reach till profit after tax for calculation of free cash flow to the firm. So we are going to get 50.1375.20. Later they are provided other income, so we'll add that other income 2.5, 2.20. We will subtract depreciation is 2.6, 3.5. Then we'll reduce the interest amount. Interest is 2 and 3. Doing all this, we are going to get profit before tax. Okay, After finding this, we will provide the tax at 35%. So we are going to get profit after tax. So this is how we calculate for free cash flow to the firm. Now after finding the profit after tax, you will see what they have done, the calculation which they have done. Calculation we have to do is, in profit after tax we add interest 1 minus t, depreciation will add less capital expending and minus working capital. But if here you will check, you will see that there is no addition of interest 1 minus t. So you would think that this question has done something wrong and they have calculated as free cash flow to the firm. This all are adjusted, but the interest amount is not added. Okay, same is in the case of illustration number 23 also. They have not added interest 1 minus t, and they have written as free cash flow to the firm. How come it's so? So this is the big question. As in the illustration number 7, I told you that free cash flow to the firm is been found through weighted average cost of capital has been discounted with this, and free cash flow to equity is discounted with cost of equity. Okay, but in that question I told you, in some questions they have been interchanged, like free cash flow to equity is been discounted with weighted average cost of capital and free cash flow to the firm is discounted with cost of equity. When this happens, in this question we are doing this. In fact, they have written free cash flow to the firm, but they have found free cash flow to the equity. They have not adjusted interest 1 minus t. So when this happens when the company is going through a big expansion mode, or it's going to change its capital structure. In the question, in the first 2-3 lines they have given that company is going to issue an IPO. Okay, so it's going to issue an IPO, it's going to become a listed company. Then that means that the capital structure is going to change, the equity is going to increase to a larger amount and to a larger extent, and this is going to change the capital structure. Right now they have given that equity is 208.66, but this is not going to be the real picture. There is going to have a big change in the capital structure, and when such type of change is going to happen, then we consider the free cash flow as equity deemed to be free cash flow to the firm. We consider that the company is only financed through equity, but while discounting we take debt also into consideration and we discount with weighted average cost of capital. So this is the case in the illustration number 22 is done. In 23 they have readily provided the free cash flow to the firm, but in fact they have found the free cash flow to the equity. And why it is done so? Because in the question it says that it's going to issue an IPO, it's on the expansion mode, and all that itself means we have to consider, we have to think in that way that company is only equity financed. Okay, if you later check, we have found all those values. Terminal value is also found. Terminal value growth rate is 0, rate of discount rate is 15% and all. So we have calculated the value. This is value of firm. If we'll subtract the debt value, that is 11.32, we'll get the equity value. Dividing with the number of shares provided in the question, we'll get the share price. Then they have given the question that the price band is 345 to 365, but if we'll see 399 is near to 365, so 365 would be considered the subscription value. Same is in the case of illustration number 23. In this we do not have to find the free cash flow to the firm because they have provided in the question itself, but if you'll check the calculation, the same is done. As the company is going through expansion mode and IPO is going to be issued, the company is going to be listed, so this is how they have calculated. And in the adjustments they have given, this is a company. Now these details are of a company with similar risk characteristics of this RS Limited. This is a company similar to RS Limited, which is listed, whose average beta is this, risk premium is this. As I told you, if you are given these details, first find the cost of equity. So they have found the cost of equity. Later they have told the company is funded with 93% equity and 7% debt. That itself shows we have to find the weighted average cost of capital. So they have found weighted average cost of capital, taking this cost of equity and 93%, 0.7%, and this is the cost of debt, 9.25%, 1 minus tax rate, so 12.48. Okay, now they have found the cash flows, they have discounted with the weighted average cost of capital. Okay, so this they have got value of firm, Now you'll ask why the 7% debt is not reduced from the value of firm. Here in the question, this details are of a similar company. This is not the details of RS Limited. This detail is provided just to calculate the discount rate. So this is not the true picture of RS Limited. This is not the true correct details of RS Limited. This is not the correct percentage of RS Limited. So we are not going to deduct the interest. We are not going to deduct that value. We are considering that they have not given the question. We are considering it as fully equity, and later we have done the calculation value of firm we got, and then dividing with number of shares will get fair value of share. Okay, 57.41. This is approx to 57. This is how it's been calculated. Now illustration number 24. What illustration number 24 says, P Limited is considering buying the business of Q Limited. Details have been provided. Sales and all that. Later they have given the balance sheet. Okay, then further they have provided P Limited wishes to based on cash flows they have to find, in which the fixed asset expenditure is going to happen 15,000. As we reduce from the profit after tax, we reduce fixed asset expenditure. So they are saying every year the capital expenditure is 15,000. So this will be reduced. Then actual expenditure is to be ignored. Okay, so the increase in the actual expenditure of fixed asset is to be ignored. We are only to consider 15,000. Cash receipt or cash payment is to be ignored, as this cash at hand, cash in bank, this is to be ignored. Okay, rest everything is same. Weights are being provided. Find the average cash flows. Okay, so we'll go by the same method. 24 illustration. We are having 3 years, 14, 15 and 16th year. Profit after tax, we can say there is no tax percentage in the question. So the profit before tax, net profit is to be taken as profit after tax. 8,000, 2,000, 16,000. What we do? We add interest 1 minus t, but in the question there is no interest, so no issue, we will not add. We will add depreciation, non-cash charges. Depreciation is 12,000, 13,000, 14,000. Okay, then they are saying the capital expenditure is only to be taken as 15,000 every year, so we'll reduce that 15,000 every year. Now we have to find the changes in working capital. The calculation is like, see, you might be knowing the logic about what that increase in asset and increase in decrease in asset and what all those, what you do the adjustments. But what I do is, in the exam we are going to have very less time for solving the paper, so it's better to have some easy trick to remember. So this is the better thing to remember. That is dial. This we are going to add, and the opposite of this is we are going to reduce. So this is dial. That means decrease in assets, increase in liabilities. This we are going to add. The opposite, assets and liabilities, that is the opposite, that is increase in assets and decrease in liabilities, we are going to subtract. So this is how working capital adjustment is going to happen. So if you'll see, stock in hand 16,000 to 17,000. So increase in asset. So what we do in increase in asset is to be subtracted. So here if you'll see, 1,000 is in subtracted. Now sundry debtors, if you'll see, again increase in asset, so it would be minus 3,000. They have told to ignore cash in hand and bank, so no issue, we are not going to consider that. Prepaid expenses, if you'll see, it has decreased. If there is decrease in asset value, we'll have to add it. So the 500 amount is in positive sign. So this way all the assets and all the liabilities, working capital means that changes, current asset and current liabilities changes, that we have made, and we have got the value as 19,000 and subtracted with fixed asset 15,000, we are getting the cash flow as 4,000. Okay, the weights are being provided 25%, 35%, 40%. Multiplying this, adding this, we are going to get 4030, and the capitalization rate is 10% on its investments. Dividing with this, we are going to get the weighted value of business 40,300. Now illustration number 25. Profit after tax is provided. Tax rate was 36%. Future tax rate is 34%. Equity share is this much, and okay, they have given few adjustments. So the adjustment shows that we have to find future maintainable profit after tax. Okay, as that if you solve this, you can get to know that what they are saying, this is the past rate is given and present rate is provided. That itself shows we have to find future maintainable profit after tax. So this is profit after tax. We'll calculate profit before tax. After calculating profit before tax, we will do the adjustments, and after doing that adjustments, we are going to provide future tax so that we can find future maintainable profit after tax. So let's calculate. I'm on illustration number 25. They have given profit after tax is 48 lakhs. Okay, what they have told, we have to find. Now we know 100 minus tax, they have given 36%. If this is profit before tax, the profit after tax is to be 64%. Okay, right now we are here 64%, profit after tax is 48 lakhs. What would be the tax amount? If we'll do the cross multiplication, we'll get the tax amount as 27 lakhs. If we'll add that, we'll get profit before tax. So 48 plus 27 is going to give us 75 lakhs. Okay, now we have to make some adjustments. What are the adjustments we do? The adjustments we do is extraordinary income which we had this year, which is not going to happen, and which we have added, we are going to subtract. And any non-recurring expenses which is not going to happen in future days, we are going to add that. Any future expenses in real which is going to happen, will subtract. Future income which is going to come, which we are going to receive, will add. So this way the 4 calculations are there which we are required to do. And in question now they have provided as subsidy 2 lakhs received from government towards fulfillment of certain obligations. So this is the income which we have received, and what they have told is subsidy income not received in future. This we are not going to receive in future. This is extraordinary income which we have received this year. So this is not going to be received. So we are going to subtract that. Now the next adjustment says this amount will not be received. This is extraordinary income, so we will subtract. Interest 8 lakhs. This expense is not going to happen. Okay, so what we do in expenses, non-recurring expenses, we add. So 8 lakhs is to be added. They are saying managerial remuneration of 15 lakhs, and increase of 6 lakhs is going to happen. Every year the remuneration is to be paid, 6 lakhs is to be increased. So this is the future expense which we require to subtract. This is going to be our real expense. Loss on sale of fixed assets 8 lakhs. This loss is the expenses which has happened, but this is not going to happen in future. So this is non-recurring expense. So what this is same non-recurring expense, so we'll have to add those expenses. So it is, the expenses are 8 lakh. Okay, so after calculating we get 83 lakh. Future maintainable profit before tax, giving the future tax at 34%, 2822,000, we are going to get future maintainable profit after tax as 54,78,000. Okay, now we are having this amount. How we'll find the value of business? Some clue is provided in the question. If we'll check, we are being given market price per share. Market price per share, it is provided as 120. If we are having profit after tax 48 lakhs, and number of shares could be found as 100 lakhs share are there, divided into 50 each, so 100 divided by 50, 2 lakh share are there. If we'll divide with this, we are going to get EPS is 24. Okay, if we are having market price per share and EPS 24, so we can find P ratio. P is price upon EPS. So 120 divided by 24 is going to give you, what is going to give you is 5. 24 into 5 is going to give you 120. So P ratio is this. The capitalization rate could be found through the formula 1 upon P, that is 1 upon 5, which is going to give you 20%. So we have got the capitalization rate, we are having the future maintainable profit after tax. So dividing future maintainable profit after tax with the capitalization rate 20%, we'll get the value of business. So the answer is 273.90 lakhs. So we did 5 questions and few revisions. In the next coming video, I'll be solving the rest of the questions. So be tuned with the channel. Thank you.